Hi, my name is Dr. Stephen Long, and welcome back to the Character Wins program. Today we're going to be starting a two-part series on time management skills. If you've been following the program, you've just completed the goal setting series. And obviously time management is an important skill to accomplishing your goals. In any performance activity, there are only three primary resources: time, money, and energy. Money and energy are variable. We can manipulate those. And even though you're students, you may think that money is fairly fixed. It really isn't in the real world. But the only fixed resource is time, and that's why it's probably the most important resource that we have. And so the strongest obstacle to goal achievement is procrastination, and that's just wasting a valuable resource. And so when it comes to time management, well, the thing is, the clock just keeps on ticking. We really can't control time. We can't manage time. What we can do, though, is we can control and manage the activities that we have within that time. So time management is really a misnomer. It's a bad name. It really should be termed activity management. There are four primary tools that we'll be discussing. Today we'll talk about organization and time allotment, and in the follow-up seminar on time management will be evaluation and overcoming procrastination. There are three primary components to the organizational tool: scheduling, tools, and priorities and coordination. Remember back in the goal setting series we talked about dreams and goals? That's really what a 5- and 10-year plan is all about. It's more of a dream than a goal. It's so far out there, and for many of you it takes maybe more of half of your current life. So just leave it as a dream and focus on what you want to do. And for now, you just want to put yourself in position to achieve that dream. But what it really comes down to in terms of scheduling is promptness. And promptness is not punctuality. Punctuality is just being on time for your appointments and your classes and your meetings. Promptness really means are your assignments ready? Are they prepared when they're supposed to be? And that's what we're going to be discussing, promptness. In terms of promptness, you want to look at your schedule in terms of 5 different segments, and the first being yearly. And basically what yearly means is, what do you want to accomplish by the end of your academic year? And maybe you want to graduate early in 3 years, or maybe you want to take a semester abroad. Or maybe you plan on redshirting 1 year as a student athlete, and you'll want to graduate after your eligibility is done, so maybe after 4.5 years. Where do you want to be in terms of your credit hours after that first year? So if you want to graduate early, will you have to take a January session or a May term, and how many credits will you have to take over the summer? These are the type of things you just want to look at in terms of a yearly schedule. Is how many credit hours do you want to have under your belt by the end of the year? All right. Now the next one is semester. Once you get all your classes syllabi, and what you want to do there is just look at all the different assignments. All the due dates, all the target dates for exams, papers, presentations, and just look and then just look at your calendar and circle every one of them. And because this is just going to show you that just like in athletics, these are your competition dates, and you want to know when they are. And that's all you want to do on the semester basis, is just know when they are. Now, in terms of the monthly segment, this is a crucial time period. Is that now you're starting to analyze and break down your assignments. Is what's due within each month, and you want to make sure that you make these numbers, you make these dates. And so what you're going to start to realize when you look at monthly due dates is that you're going to find some weeks are going to be heavier than others. You're going to have some exam weeks. You're going to have some presentation weeks. You're going to have some paper weeks. Now, every student athlete, high-performing student athlete I ever talked to said the same thing, is that they never wanted to have a test and a paper, or a test and a presentation on the same day. Now, they didn't have any control over that. And they realized that. What they did have control over, they didn't have any control over the date of the exam, so they knew they were going to have to prepare for that and be ready to go on that exam day. But in terms of the paper or the presentation, they knew they could get that done early. And so what they did is they finished that early. And so in terms of weekly preparation and monthly preparation, they would have their paper and presentation all ready to go a couple days beforehand. So the exam and the paper and the exam or the presentation are not conflicting with each other. And I know this sounds unusual, but being a high-performing student athlete is unusual. It is somewhat abnormal, and this was a behavior or an abnormal behavior that they exhibited. But I thought it was absolutely key. And then finally, daily is what do you want to get done by the end of today? And like I said in goal setting, don't worry if you don't get it all done in one day. You're like anybody else. You're going to have your bad days. If you don't get everything done in one day, you'll get it done in the next couple of days. So the daily is not that important. It's really the weekly and monthly targets that are the most important. Those are the things you really want to focus on. The second component of organization are the tools, and these are absolutely must-haves. Whether it's day timers, mobile devices, or computer programs, you must have one of these programs. And the primary reason is that just the speed of life has increased so much over the past 20 years. Maybe 20 years ago, college students, high school students could get away without having some type of a organizational tool. But today, life comes at you so fast, and the bottom line is that there's so much information being thrown at you, whether through even a program like this, through the internet, newspapers, through periodicals, magazines, television. That's the primary reason, is that there's just too much information being thrown at people that they can get away without having some type of a tool. And so get yourself a day timer. That's probably the least expensive, or a mobile device like I have here. This is a Palm Pilot. Everything I do, everything I need to do, whatever I have to get done is in here. And then every computer program now comes with some kind of time management system. And that actually can link to your handheld device. So whatever it is, you must have one of these. These are absolutely essential in today's age. The third component is priorities and coordination. And here you just want to identify the level of importance and basically just look at it within a semester. Which classes are the most important? And obviously, major classes are your most important. But for some student athletes, everything is important. So then you have to break it down into different classifications, such as besides just what is important to you, what's the due date? What's coming up next? But then also a mitigating factor is the difficulty of assignment, where a more challenging assignment is going to require more time and more preparation. So by determining priorities, you determine them by importance, due dates, and difficulty. The coordination component of the organizational tool is very revealing when I interviewed these high-performing student athletes. As I mentioned before, yes, they would manage their activities, is that when they realized they would have an exam and a project or an exam and a paper due on the same day, is that they would put a deadline on themselves for the component that they had control over, which was the paper or the presentation. And I found that to be very interesting. But they also discussed something else, is that they would integrate projects when possible, meaning that if they had a project for 2 or 3 different classes, they would try to integrate that, such as what are the economic impact of World War I on Eastern Europe. and that might satisfy the components or the class requirements for their economics class, but also for their Western civilization class. And obviously they gain permission beforehand. And some people would step back at first and say, well, wait a minute, isn't that like cheating? And I don't think it's cheating at all, as long as they gain permission from their instructor. But the bottom line is it actually enhances learning. Is that it actually creates a greater understanding, and it provides the student to synthesize information from multiple different sources, and that's really key. So if you can find classes where you can integrate projects, one, that's going to save you time, but it's also going to enhance your learning. The second tool in time management is what I call time allotment. And by far, this is the most important tool in the time management program. See, you need to understand where your time goes. If you're trying to manage your time, you have to know where your time goes. And so what you want to do is just simply download the attached document, and just for a 1 to 2 week period, just keep a record of where your time goes. And it's all color coded, and basically, you know, how much time you're spending on schoolwork, how much of your time are you spending in class, in athletics, in a job, in your free time, or just goofing around. And once you get this data, you're going to understand where your time goes, and then you're going to be able to realize where you can fix your time management program, because you're going to see gaps where you can be getting things done. So this time allotment is absolutely the most important tool. Find out where your time goes, and then you'll be better able to manage your own time. In review of the time management tools that we looked at today, first being organization. And organization has three components, the first being scheduling. It's the student athletes who fail to schedule their activities who don't have a social life. And that's really the purpose of time management, is to give you more time to do the things that you want to do. The second is tools. And it's just celebrated arrogance for people who fail to use tools such as day timers or Palm Pilots or computer programs to manage their time. And the third being priorities and coordination. Coordinate and integrate projects whenever you can. And the second tool being time allotment. Absolutely the most important tool in the time management system is know where your time goes. Okay, next week we'll go over the two final tools, which is evaluation and overcoming procrastination. So until then, have a great week.